heading straight into business, the first keynote, which is about zero hype. It's my pleasure to request Mr. Nilesh Sahasrabudhe, the head RP and Cognitive Automation Tieto, for the keynote. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Nilesh. It's all yours.
Good morning. So, when I got the call from Manjula and Anil and others, I was thinking that what should I put as the first slide as an opening, and I could not find any better slide than the Chandrayaan when we talk about the zero hype. And big round of applause for all the scientists, the commitment, the passion. I think this is real and this is happening, and I think we are all part of this journey. Maybe I think we are also going to touch upon some of the things in the advanced technology in this slide. So my personal take actually when it comes to the whole digitalization and the digital journey is we are already in the default digital, and when you look at this picture also, you will find that when we talk about digitalization, we have been talking about this word since last few years now, and you look at any example, we all are actually part of this mesh. So on the left hand side you will find that we are having the social mobility analytics and cloud. On the right hand side we are talking about the intelligent technologies, and then somewhere in between we all are there, and we all are already part of this intelligent digital mesh. There could be many examples I can take off, but usually I start with in all my forums that everyone has almost a cell phone now, and you will hardly find anyone not using the cell phone. Obviously there are some examples, but almost everyone is having, and that too not only the phone as such as 33 or 01, but mostly the smartphone. And when I ask the question that what you can do with the cell phone, the list is enormous. I mean, you can almost do movie watch, you can do buying, you can do banking, you can shop, you can chat, you can, I think it's endless. And then I stopped asking this question, and nowadays I ask that what you cannot do with your cell phone. And there is a pin drop silence. Now you can also start thinking that what you cannot do with your cell phone, and usually I get the pin drop silence. The one response I stopped getting at usually when I am posing this question is people are not talking about they can also make a call. Yeah. So everyone forgot this, that the cell phone was invented with the whole idea that you should be able to make a call. But the whole value added services and the technology what we are talking about is actually making it very easy for us to think forward and the possibilities what can be explored. And when I say that we all are part of this mesh, we are already there. So we don't need to just talk about the digital, but now we have to talk about how this digital could be intelligent, and then that is where the mesh will start producing the results what it should be. When I look at another few examples, let's say you go to the grocery stores, and nowadays everyone has this and I think I am going to use in this 30 minutes given more examples or balanced example also from India, because I believe that the biggest of the disruptions what has happened apart from what we keep on hearing about Tesla or Amazon or others, there are super examples in the disruptions happened in India. For example, Aadhaar. Now you can always talk about it in various ways, but 1.2 billion people, the citizens what we are talking about, is connected using the device. So the eye, the fingerprint, and it's working somewhere. There is a data lake which is taking care of the responsibility. There is a human which is interacting with the system. You go for buying anything, you go for rental agreements, you go to the passport station, you go anywhere, you just put your fingerprints and you are on. The whole history of your transactions, everything is on, and I think that is a brilliant example that we should always talk about, that 1.2 billion people connected to the mesh, right? Now the possibilities are unlimited when this data is accessible in a model, but when we talk about the left and the right hand side, these all are coming together now. The second example I would like to take, I mean after demonetization, I still remember the day, I think it was November 9th or 8th, 2016 or yeah, something like that. That has changed the whole game, because when it comes to the digital banking, the peer-to-peer payments what we are talking about, P2P, Paytm and RuPay, and I think that has jumped like crazy. I mean you can imagine the transactions, they were zero almost, and now the transactions they are making is actually in millions, and the growth what these peer-to-peer payments has been happening is enormous. So if I don't carry my wallet, it is fine, the real physical one, but if I am carrying my mobile phone, I am connected to my finance, the banks, everything, and that is the second revolution what I see specifically in India, which is changing and using this technology at a very, very different scale, and we must all appreciate because we all are actually part of it. When I reflect back and talk about, because I am part of the Nordic community and I have been working with Tieto for 14 years. They are going now, always talk about the cashless, but I am telling them that we are going actually cardless. We don't need card, the plastic cards are out. I don't need cards actually, I can just go and use my mobile phone, and then banks are connected to this, and I can just use that phone for doing almost everything. So we are going to skip, because the accessibility of this phone what we talk about connected to the mesh is 1.2 billion people in India, maybe 1 or 2 cell phones they are having, right? So in that way, we all are connected to this world in a very, very different way, and we must actually look at it in different way. The other example what I want to take in the intelligent world, now we are already in the digital, but whether it is intelligent, and that is where the whole focus and the effort and how and what kind of a business cases and what kind of a data will be there is a challenge now. So when I look at manufacturing 4.0, I think you will always keep on hearing about it, that I think finding the right data is the problem for them. I mean, it's not that there is no technology, it's not that there is no business expertise, but, and there is enormous amount of data also, but what is the use case where this can be applied? So solving the meaningful business problem is a problem right now, and not the technology as such is a problem. So when I move on, and I think day before yesterday, I don't know how many of you, when you talk about the intelligent example, you will find that this example, I think this is not working, so yeah, yeah. So when you talk about, this was actually, I think on 22nd of September this was there, and I think most of you have gone through this news, but this is the fatal accident happened, and the watch detected that this is a fatal fall, I mean in terms of the whatever has happened to that person, and then suddenly it started sending messages, SOS to his family, to his, and then the person was saved. And this is the intelligence. So it's not only about having the device in the mesh connected to something, but then the device is intelligent enough to understand that what has happened actually, and then started sending the messages also. And once everything in this connected, right from the devices, people, web services, the standard services start interacting and producing something intelligence, then actually we are elevating into the overall world of what we want to achieve in this. But this is a fantastic example, really life-saving when it comes to, and I think not something which is completely out. This can, I mean, whoever, now I am not advertising the Apple Watch actually, but then this is real, and this is happened just, I think, 22nd of November. It's working now? Yeah. So moving on, actually what I am going to cover, some of my examples and reflections on the topics, because the topic itself is so big, and I thank you StepIn as well as PSTC and the team that for inviting, so that I was also able to reflect the experience, because I also took over the new role into this intelligent automation in last 6 months. And then I thought that there could be 4 relevant topics which we can talk about how things are. One is, when we talk about this whole technological advancement, is the outcome based models, and I think that is very important, that kitna deti hai, right? I think everyone goes with that dimension. It's not an advertisement, we all are actually trying to experience and part of this journey now, and testing per se is a very important, that how do we measure the outcome based models now. The second topic I would like to elaborate and give examples and experiences, obviously the intelligent insight. So it's not only about the data which is available, stored somewhere, but is it making sense when I am trying to log into the system, when I am trying to extract the information, what is happening? Is it the context rich information, or is it just the data? Because data is plenty of data. There is small, big, very big data, and what to do with it. The third part where I want to stress is actually the ecosystem collaboration. Because when you talk about the mesh, none of these players, what I have shown earlier, I think you take an example, they are very focused on delivering their stuff, and they are not saying that we will deliver everything. And this is very important aspect to understand for all of us, that when it comes to tasting across the ecosystem, it's going to be a very critical exercise, how we look at it. And the last actually point I would like to stress when it comes to this whole journey is actually the happiness, in terms of where does the employee competence, what is happening with the organization, how are they coping up with this kind of an advancement. So these are the 4 things which I would like to stress, and then I am also open for other discussions provided that we get time at the end. So now I would like to start with this video, which is you can play, and then we take a look at and reflect of what is it. Yeah, can you play the video?
A mediados del 2013, la industria del arte en España sufrió uno de los golpes más grandes de todos los tiempos.
El gobierno decidió cambiar el impuesto de los espectáculos teatrales del 8 al 21%, logrando la mayor sangría de espectadores que se recuerde.
Un 30% menos de espectadores en tan solo un año. La gente se volcó a consumir entretenimiento probado masivamente como los blockbusters americanos.
Ante esa realidad, la compañía independiente de comedia Teatraneo decidió tomárselo con humor e inventar algo.
Pay per laugh, the first comedy shows where you only pay for what you consume. We fitted each seat with a facial recognition system that detects the smile and proposed the following deal to spectators. Entrance will be totally free. If the show produces no laughs, you don't pay anything. However, if you laugh, you have to pay for each smile. Each smile produced is worth 30 euro cents, something that in this day and age is quite a reasonable price. At the end of the show, the spectator could check their laughter account before paying and even share it on social networks. And so that no one would cry for having laughed more than they could afford, the maximum amount to pay was 80 laughs for 24 euros. The average price of the ticket increased by 6 euros. The system was covered by the main national media outlets, and this produced 35% more spectators. Each pay-per-laugh show produced 28,000 euros more ticket money than was normally taken. Currently, the system is being copied in other theatres in Spain. A mobile phone app was created as a system of payment, and the first season ticket was launched for the number of laughs, not shows. We should also not write off the pay-per-cry or pay-per-what-the-fuck system.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Or maybe not. Pay-per-laugh, the first comedy shows where you only pay for what you consume.
Interesting, right? And this was actually 2015, so I'm also not talking about it was like last year. And this is still in existence in a very different format, because the very concept is actually used by many companies actually to inherit this. So imagine that as a testing professional or as a professional trying to test this now. So you will keep on laughing and testing that really how much time it is counting and whether it is counting correctly. There are many examples actually that how this facial recognition systems works, and I think there are very funny situations also you come across. Some of the reading I have done actually very recently is that we spent enormous amount of time actually updating our LinkedIn profiles, I mean the text part, right? And we keep on updating it, we keep on changing. I am sure that we all are experiencing the same. We actually now give it to professional CV writers also that please write it for me, and I think it's a paid service for me. When you look out what LinkedIn has been doing the research on this, and when you go into further details and start reading about it, you will find that the first thing an interviewer actually when looking at your profile is actually look at your photo on the LinkedIn, not the text part of it, right? But then we spend all our energy and effort actually not on LinkedIn preparing the right kind of a photo. Maybe we do it with Instagram, we do it with Facebook, but how LinkedIn has been looking at this where you are looking when you open LinkedIn actually is the photo part of it. So it's very different the way how we look at what is happening in the system, what is happening when the human psychology is working out, and then whether the technology is supporting that. And then I think there are very different things. But specifically this outcome based model, nowadays every customer, when you go into the software as a service, when you look out, I think there are many examples you will find, and in India also those are getting rolled out, that not only on this you apply, I mean you do this course and then the job is assured kind of outcome based model, but there are very different ways of how the outcome based models will be used, and it's going to be very interesting when everything gets connected, which is already there, but then when there are the right use cases, like I said at the beginning, which will be available. The another example or the topic which I would like to reflect is go to your cell phone. I hope that you are having link right now, but go and don't do this in only Google. Go to the Microsoft .com, I mean the Bing.com, right, Microsoft search engine, or Yahoo.com on your own cell phone, and try to search, let's say, who is the founder of Microsoft. And if you do it right now also, you will find that on the Bing or on the Yahoo, you will receive the information which will be on the left hand side, like you will, or on the right hand side, for example, which will give you some information like Microsoft Office or not. I have given the example of Pune population. Now on the left, which is a Google browser, you can see that it gives exactly 6.7 million as the population for Pune. On the right hand side, it is a Bing example, right, and it is giving some information, but it's not context rich. It's not exactly what I'm asking for, and this is the difference when we are talking about the context rich. Nowadays, when you are going to the customers, the banking, when you go there, actually, first of all, you should not go there, because when I had actually looking at the bank, that which bank I should use, I have a precondition that I will never ever come to your banks, because everything needs to happen remotely, and that was the precondition when dealing. But when you land up there, whether in your cell phone, whether physically you land up, it needs to be context rich. They cannot keep on selling you like whatever products they are having, but when you land there, they should be knowing that, okay, you are here because of the retail, because of the commercial, because of the loan, insurance, what exactly is happening. Because we are not interested in getting this blank call or cold calls, and we want the intelligent information should be available with them already. And you can see that the technology is already there, and Google has been leading in terms of this. And then Microsoft and Yahoo, actually nowadays we don't talk about the search engine, but if you use it, you will find that there is a drastic difference between what Google has been producing in terms of the context rich information and the other people are producing. And this is the another expectation, which is what customers are having when you are dealing with them. How are you putting this information, what you are already having, as a live and the context rich? And it's a big challenge, because we fumble today also that how to translate the information which is available to us into the context rich information. Another moving on the part is when it comes to, we all are using another example of Indian context. Now we are talking about cloud kitchens, right? Almost all of us are actually using Swiggy or Zomato, and I think there are things which we have been using. You can see that this is the power of partnership, or what we are doing in the ecosystem. The ecosystem collaboration is very important. So when you look out the devices mesh, when you look out the platform mesh, when you look out the services or web services availability, all these things are very fundamental, because whatever Swiggy has been doing, they are having maybe some part of it like the app which is there, but then there are restaurants, then there are the links which are connected, then there are the cuts which are there that you need to have a sharing model which will be in the existence. So it's a very different ball game, and if Swiggy or anyone starts to think that they can deliver end-to-end services right from delivering it to the door till having their own restaurant and then cooking it, I think it's impossible. So in this world, when I am also now last 3-4 years have been experiencing, yesterday also we were having some customers, and then we were having customers with our partners and our competitors also. Earlier, when I used to be the country manager for Tieto, I used to say that who is coming, and if they are our competitor, I used to say no, they are not entertained. I mean, in terms of in our premises, no, don't bring them. But nowadays, when it comes to this whole SIAM, the service integration application management related topic, we are going to work with our partners, vendors, and we will have our own specific role to play. So all the companies are focusing on their core strength rather than trying to do everything. And this is the game when it comes to the whole mesh. You have to focus on what is most important and focused, and where is our or your differentiating factor is, and not trying to do everything. Then only the success rate will be higher, and then only the speed which is required, which will be amazing. And another example I can take is, for example, Flipkart. Now if they start storing all the goods, or if they start storing the whole logistics related supports, it's impossible for them to do anything. So what they are providing is an integrator facility, which is what they are trying to integrate everyone. So the power of partnership in everywhere, it's going to be a very critical, and it's going to change also in future very fast, the way how we look at it, and that's going to be a very interesting look out that how the mesh is going to play a role in that. Moving on, actually, I also wanted to cover some of the topics that nowadays everyone looks at this super offices. Let's say we keep on, I mean, few people, nowadays I think I was talking to Ganesh, and Barclays has built a super facility which is more activity based, and they will all be moving. We also have an activity based office, and employee happiness and engagement and the quality of work what we deliver to them is very important. But when you look out the pictures, actually, it's very different, that where are we spending our money, and you can find that the cost of work or all our compensation salaries is actually enormous amount, and whether organizations how much of money they are spending there actually is, we don't know. What are we trying to solve actually, right? So it's not only about spending money in terms of we have to build something which is different, and it's not only about the intelligent, but whether the air condition is at the correct level, whether my emotions, that moods are correct, is something which we need to look into, whether we are living and delivering the healthy water is very important, and all these things needs to be digitalized. So it's not only about intelligent buildings, but we are talking about the empathetic building. So whether they are taking care of as a human aspect of in those premises. And this is very interesting. Now here only I am doing the marketing for Tieto, because empathetic building is our product and that is getting rolled out. So it's not only about, for example, in this hotel also that can be rolled out, and it can be capturing a very different type of data, that when you enter, what happens, what are your experiences, and you can give feedback also on that. And we keep on a very different level, not that this chair is not good and that is not good, but a very different kind of an interaction what we can do. And this is also getting extended now when it comes to, you go to manufacturing plants now. Obviously there are lots of assets, there are people, but when it comes to implementing and rolling out this kind of technology, let's say tomorrow we talk about empathetic factories, yeah, because that's a very different dimension to the whole big mass of people, because they have looked at like a machine and then they are working there, and then we can have empathetic hospitals. So we are talking about a very, very different ways of how the happiness of an employee, the happiness of a human being is getting tapped or connected to this mesh, and how are we going to work with that data is going to be a very, very interesting affair. So this is also another thing which I want to reflect on, that the mesh or the technological advancement is also going to take care of our own individual reflections about how do we interact and translate that information. Now I am going to talk about few of the learnings what is there, what I have come across during this process, and I can keep on talking about, it's a big topic actually. But first thing I came across when it comes to this whole mesh is simple and significant is what we need to talk about, because this is so complex topic itself that if we are not able to simplify, you don't understand it, right? So you need to able to connect to your day-to-day matters. Otherwise, if you talk about anything of this sort, explaining it to the customer or to yourself also, if you are not able to relate it correctly, it's not going to fly. And how to make it simple and significant is actually, you have to do it yourself, right? So it's not that someone else will probably do it. So as a developer, as a tester, you need to try out all these things. You need to experience all these things. And yesterday also when I was talking that there has been a lot of speculation that how much of this is actually making money in terms of the implementation, and how many of the companies are actually producing that in their balance sheet that we made money out of this advanced technology. I think there are not many examples, but everyone is trying it out. And that's the reason that unless you try it out, you won't be able to understand what are the things, what is the possibility into this. And then only you can actually talk to your customers, your colleagues, that how to use this technology, which are the real business cases where we are going to apply this. So keep it simple, keep it significant. The other is walk more than actually talk. So I am having discussion with, I think, Manjula the other day that, and we were talking that I don't use PowerPoint slides. Actually, I stopped it long back, because I tell them all the time that I am going to sell the solutions and customers buys only solutions, not my PowerPoint decks. So I was a little bit struggling that should I just come here and talk about the topic, but I thought it will be good reference for me also, just to keep something on the background. So what is happening in the industry is when it comes to doing it yourself, more than the proof of concept, now everyone is asking about the proof of value. So show us that what have you already done. And you will find that this POV is the new way. So it's not only about, yeah, we are trying to do something, but they are asking that what is the outcome of the exercise what you have done, and that's very important, and that can only happen when you collaborate and focus on your energy, when you collaborate with your partners and try to do something which is really concrete, rather than that showing that okay fine, we have data, we understand it, but you have to show it also, and not only show it in the concept, but you have to show what is the outcome of this, what has happened, the data sheet, right? And that is very significant when it comes to walking more. And then you have to set up the labs, you have to set up the showcases, and all those companies who are trying to do this advanced development, they all are right now having their own in-house actually digital centers, or where they can take to the customers and talk about all these things live, because then only customer starts believing that what you see is what you get kind of a environment. The another learning I am having is that when you talk about all those social mobility analytics cloud and the advanced one where we are talking about ML, DL, RPA and other technologies, the immersive kind of an environment, we always go on this technological front quite a lot, and we forget that people who are having little bit of gray hair like me, and then Ganesh having a different set of hair, then we are also very important in terms of this game actually, because it's not only technology which is creating something which is great, but this experience what people have carried. This is the hybrid competence, the experience what customers are having. So it's not only about reducing the headcount if you don't understand the technology, but how do we mix this correctly and have this kind of an environment where these things are possible is actually very important. So the wisdom versus intelligence, my experience is that currently wisdom is actually playing the role ultimately, that the experience counts. A technology is important, but if you are not able to put it forward in the right perspective, making a significant impact with the customer, then all these intelligent digital mesh related discussions are actually futile. But if you are using this experienced people along with the people who understands the technology well and package it correctly, then actually things could be very different. And that is the experience what I have been having. So although we are all talking about reducing the headcount, automation will take away the jobs, you can see that I think we are still recruiting, we are still hiring, the headcount is still growing up, but very different type of a skill. So it's not the reality when it comes to automation will take away the job, because automation is not new. Industrial automation happened and the same fear was there, jobs has not gone down. The different type of the roles, the expectation will change, but it will not go down, and that is something which this wisdom and intelligence needs to be balanced well, and then we cannot just look at one dimension of it. And then last, actually I would like to also highlight that we cannot have, I mean I was talking, and today evening also I am in the DevOps related discussion, and we all have been talking about continuous development, continuous deployment, DevOps, automation, all these things are important. The agility factor is also important. But I have been going into this forum and asking that, okay, you did agile implementation, but why actually? What was the final objective what you have achieved? I mean, you are agile, but does that help you, I mean, in terms of achieving what you intended to achieve? And this is very fundamental question. Now, I think I get into a lot of controversies also when it comes to posing this, that why are you, I mean, design thinking. Now, we have to implement the design thinking, and people have been talking about design thinking. We did it with the design thinking principles and methodology. Okay, but has it really solved the problem? I think let's look at the outcome, that forget about the technology or the process or the methodology. Has it helping you really to solve the real problem why you have started with it? Because everyone is going with agile now and there is no problem, you have to follow something. But blindly following in terms of these kind of issues, I think you have to cross check and verify that what has helped. I mean, you are agile, but I think it could be looked at differently. The speed is very important, and speed matters when it comes to this proof of value, proof of concept, and you have to always keep on incrementally developing it, and we have to keep that in control. So saying that, Actually, I would like to stop here and take for the questions. I hope that I am on time because they connected him also and it is almost 10 o'clock. So I hope that I still have 5 minutes or whatever questions. But this is something I would like to reflect and talk about, and now I am open for questions. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the usual silence. But I am still available for some more time, so I think I have also learned in my experience that with this all Nordic people, that if you are having no questions, that does not mean that you did not do well. I think they will come up and start asking questions afterwards. But thank you very much for an opportunity, and I am here still some more time, so we can actually have a discussion. The material obviously is available with you, but I don't know if I am not standing and talking about this, how you will reflect on it. But thank you very much. Yeah.
Kindly stay back for a moment. I would request Manjula Suresh to kindly come over and give a memento to Mr. Nilesh. Thank you very much, sir.